thinking. Then I was showing them push-up pointers, how to do pop-up push-up with the hand, trying to do pop-up push-up with the finger and all the other stuff. So when I'm seeing doing that with them, it kind of got me thinking, like, you know what? I need to take more pointers from you guys because it speaks in value. Hey, Coach First. So when
Mm.
you have five young boys in the living room competing among themselves, comparing who to what, one calling you're 6'2" with no big, you're not fast, you're just tall. They want to say you're 6'3", but you can't dunk. They want to say you cannot even make and they clown themselves, but you know how they are when you're kids. They're all competitive.
Yeah.
So I can only think of Coach Fur. He'd have been that situation, but then again, Coach Fur, he's more showboating during his era. He was showing off. So
He's
it's like,
showing off now. Wait a minute. This dude talking about on Wednesday, he taking on some young guys, did something like 110 push-ups or something like that. Put some young guys to shame. So he's still showing off. So we back in the day, he's still going out there doing so.
and
Hey,
then, and then when I met to Coach Fur, because I had to think about that. Because first thing when I'm watching them, I was thinking, how would Coach Fur do that? I said, you know what? Let me not show up to it. I was showing them some push-up on it. I was doing knuckle push-ups, but I know it was like, Elijah, I know you can't do it. Your father.
hmm
He, my son put on the spot, and he had to debunk them in person because he was putting some guy, and I get it, I understand it, but it was fun. But watching them doing that and me being a father, it let me feel like, okay, you know what? I need to step up a little bit more.
yeah,
So that was like a wake up call, but I kind of enjoyed it. So I'm not cold for it. I'm not going to showboat too much because I'll be unfair. I'll leave that for Coach for it. Other than that, it's great being on the show. Let me get back to the back screen.
I heard that. I heard that. Good to see you, Coach. So how you doing? So we did our pies check. So how things going with you, sir?
Everything was all right, man. I'll just check in with the P, right? Like I mentioned the other day, man, just in the push-up contest, man. I was challenged, man. And I felt pretty good once I hit the number that I hit. I was definitely surprised. And it was at least 10 more than the next man who was at least 10 to 15 years younger
hmm
than me. So, hey, I feel good about that, man. So,
So
yeah,
you
my
did this in
physical,
consecutive, or you did this like in sets of 30?
we did
Okay,
sets, because I follow their
right.
rules, but so the sets is really easy for me. So yeah, I knocked out. I think started off. I stopped at like it took me 3 sets to get to the
Okay,
number.
so about
So
35 per, roughly 33 per.
yeah, the first set I did 41. The second set I did like 35. Yeah, like
Gotcha.
35. And then I just rocked
How
it
much
on
rest in
out
between
because I was
before you?
it was maybe 5 minutes
Gotcha.
because I did mine, then other people went around. We don't yeah, then at the end it was only two of us. And I was counting his. Well, we were counting, so I figured as long as I go 5 or 10 above the next man, I was good. And that's how I worked it out. Because I know, see, most people don't breathe. During the military, they teach you how to breathe through the
hmm
push up. So I was just using that same technique.
I
So
heard
it
that.
worked.
I heard that. Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, man. So we're gonna continue on as we've been doing for the last few weeks, talking about finances, how you can be a little bit better, just some wisdom that you can use when on terms of how to manage your finances. So again, a lot of people deal with this. A lot of it have a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. Marion and Constantine talked about still working on how to balance that and whatnot, and you can definitely get stressed out, especially with the economy and whatnot. So how can you be better at it? Or certainly things that you can, there's remedies that you can take in to help you on a daily basis. Last week we talked about how you should look at your finances on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. So again, there's going to be a little more overlap when we talk about these subjects tonight. But these are just some little tools that you can use. Now, again, none of these things, it's like to me, this is almost like taking a vitamin, right? It's like none of this is gonna, you cannot take a vitamin that's gonna overcome a bad diet. You know what I'm saying? If your basis, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough nutrition, if you're not putting the proper work in, then again, you cannot improve your body if you don't take that in. So again, for those major things, if you're in a major financial situation, again, get some professional counseling services in terms of how to manage that. It may require maybe again some debt consolidation, or look at your portfolio and see what's there, what's missing. Maybe revisit that if you haven't done it for a while. I mean, again, there's some major steps that you may need to do that. We're not professionals at that. We're not here to advise you in those particular areas, but these are some tools that you can use in the process, in addition to those things that you're doing, to at least help you deal with the stress and the anxiety that comes from knowing that your finances aren't in a good place, and moves that you can do in order to, on a daily basis, how you can manage these stressors. All right. So again, we're going to get into this in terms of how to manage that, how to lower your anxieties, and as you see in the picture, I don't know why my title's not there. I could have swore I put a title up there, but in any event, how do you manage, especially when you got people dependent on you, you got a family to raise, you got, kids to send to school, you got, all kinds of responsibilities, bills to pay. And how can you do that when you have all these dependencies? So what are some of the things that you can do in order to manage these stresses? So I'll just get to the first point. So again, we're going to be talking about, again, money habits that reduce financial anxiety long term. All right. So these are steps that you can do in order to, how to, take care of these things. So it doesn't make, you're still going to have to do the work. You're still going to have to make the hard choices. You're going to have some lifestyle changes, so all those things are going to be there if you're finding yourself in a situation that you're fighting to get out of. But along the way, these can be really useful in your journey, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been, certainly making money for a while, but you're just trying to get a better hold of things. So first point that we want to talk about is, again, automation. Sometimes it's when we're emotional creatures. And so a lot of times the decisions that we make are made with emotion. So sometimes it'll either cause you to move when you shouldn't move, or not move, and how to stay put. So again, taking some of the financial burdens out of your hands is one way you can lower some of the stresses. So again, setting up automatic transfers to savings. Okay. Again, we talk about saving, and people should save. How many people are going to move money over when or you're contemplating, I know I'm supposed to save, but this is on sale, or I got this bill I need to pay, or whatever. How can you take some of these decisions out of your hands so it's not so stressful when you have to make these decisions? Okay. So again, automatic transfer. Just have money go out of your accounts, out of your paychecks to savings, to pay bills. If you got investments, you definitely want to have those things out of your hands. So again, less decision making means less stress and more peace of mind. So again, Coach, your thoughts on this one? Certainly, I think for a lot of people, if you don't want to just have a mountain of, I got to do this and that or whatever, taking it out of your hands might be a way to deal with that. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Man, everything, I guess, with the savings, everything comes out automatically as far as some of our main things. My wife she's grown to be a stickler to ensuring that each, I guess, bill is paid, the money is allotted to the appropriate places. And so I've seen, and it's funny, when she met me, she was one of those that, like, okay, I see it, I want it, I buy it.
Emotional buyer, yeah.
And me, I might see it and have to see it 3 or 4 more times before I buy it. I used to tell clerk when I go into the store, like, don't tell me all the fancy things about it. That's why I'm here, because I already know. How much is it? And sometimes I bought it, sometimes I didn't, because I always understood the sale. And I'm one of those people first to get things out of season. Like I buy summer clothes out of season, fall clothes out. But bills, I like to pay the bills myself. I don't know why. I always like to go in and just, like where we are now, our home, outside the mortgage, everything else is minimal. I think between our water and electric bill, it's like $75-$80 a month for the two, which is really good. Investments, wasn't really big in investing until once I got married. And just a financial tip, like I said, we put $4 in a startup company 10 years ago. It cashed out. They sent us a statement. It was well over $100,000. So that's just going right into the savings. We don't need it. It's just going to sit there and draw more interest. And it makes it easier knowing that you have someone sort of thinking along the same line, especially at this point in our lives where we don't need anything. You know, I made a commitment earlier in the year to not go to K&G. I love K&G. You heard of,
oh yeah, I got
K&G
one. I was there last week. I got me a tracksuit.
See what I'm saying?
$30 top and
see
bottom.
What I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I made a commitment to not go all summer. I did well. And we were originally planning to go somewhere this weekend, back to the mountains, but for some reason we just ain't feeling it or whatever. But she like, oh, we can go shopping, and they go, you can go to K. See, she know how to get me. She mentioned K&G. I'm like, oh yeah, great. And we don't have one here, so we have I go to either Indianapolis, which is 100 miles.
Oh wow.
Or you go to Cincinnati, which is 100 miles. So, but yeah, man, we're looking to, I would say, as far as money wise, we don't need to keep focusing on bringing in money, because we sort of got everything set up for the long haul. And it does take a lot of stress, you know what I'm saying? Knowing that if my wife stops working, we're set for life in a sense. And she thinks about me and I think about her. So if something happened to her, of course I'll be okay. Cause I'll just pack all this stuff up, sell the house, and go into a veteran's home and keep my little cars, and you know what I'm saying, and pay pennies on the dollar for a place that I don't have to worry about too much of, you know, shoveling snow, you know, taking care of the property. I can just live and have my space. But yeah, man, it does create a peace of mind. And I've been talking real quick. My son, he's a truck driver now. He's been driving trucks a couple of months now, right? So it's funny. He was telling me the story the other day. He said, man, it worked out because for some reason, Amazon fired him because he had his phone out. They saw his phone out. So they just, but then he was able to speed up the process of getting his CDL. So he's been driving for the last couple of months. And he was telling me, he said, man, I'm glad it sort of happened. I said, sometime, you know, you open up new doors, you know, one door closes, another door open. And he was working and going to truck driving school, but it would have took him longer. So by him getting fired, he was able to speed up the process by at least a month or two. He's like, man, I've already saved about $4,000 or $5,000 in the little 2 months I've been driving. So, you know, he's talking about getting a car. So I was just talking to him about how to save up for it. And, you know, when he goes into the car place, I know exactly how to sort of navigate that process now and how to save him some money so he can put that money away. So, yeah, man, you know, I'm just proud of him. The fact that he's a little frugal like me, but he's always been able to save money. So Yeah, I think this is. Yeah, it brings a peace of mind,
Absolutely,
man.
yeah.
You know,
It's,
we
it's
older.
again, I
So
understand that you don't want to necessarily automate everything or have it where you're not aware of things that are going on, but certainly again, definitely when it comes to savings and things like that, having an automatic, that's why people, if you got a
yeah,
401 or whatever investment strategy you use, crypto or whatever, just taking that money out. So again, you're not asking the question, well, should I hold on to it this month, or I may want to spend on something. It's just something you don't have to play with. And so again, you need to know yourself in order to make those kind of decisions. So yeah, definitely automating things and getting it out of your pocket is certainly a way to deal with some of those anxieties when decisions have to be made. Um,
Brother Ben, I want to ask you a question about the state you live in. Can you file married but separate taxes in your state?
you can, yeah, you can. Well, you can marry. I mean, you can file. I think married. Can you do that? You can do single. You can do head of household. Yeah, I don't think there's a category per se for married filing separately. At least I don't think. I'd have to go back and look over my
Okay,
returns. But yeah, we do the joint both on the federal and on the on the state
on the
level. Yeah,
state.
yeah.
Okay, me and my wife always we started in Illinois with it, but we've always filed married but
Mhm.
separate, and we've both been able to always get our income taxes. You know, she gets a nice little bit, and when I was working, I was getting
Mhm.
a nice little bit. And I was watching a financial advisor program,
Mhm.
right? And they were showing the difference of when people file married but separate and file
Mhm.
jointly. A lot of times they tax one at like
Mhm.
18%. So a lot of people end up owing, but people who file married but separate, both of them typically get an income tax check back. So
Interesting.
I brought it up because I know each state is different, but I don't think a lot of people are really aware of that they can do
Right,
that.
right. But you're talking about for the state return, not
So
necessarily the federal.
no, the federal. It's for the
Okay,
federal.
you
Yeah,
mentioned
we
state, so
do
that's why
separate.
I was curious.
Yeah, we do. We filed separate federal
Mhm.
and state, and we've always gotten a
Mhm.
check back, both of us. So I'm just
All
saying,
right, certainly,
so
it's certainly something worth looking
check
at.
on it in your state,
Yeah,
folks.
definitely
Yeah.
something worth looking at. Absolutely. Next on the list here is again create a money check-in ritual. So we talked about again what are the habits that you do daily, weekly, monthly. So every week, you want to have a time where you do look over those accounts. All right. But what they're saying
Yeah.
is do it in a cozy spot. So again, cozy, light that should be a candle. I don't know what says cancel, but light a candle, grab some tea, use a simple template routine. So in other words, you want to be in a peaceful. So again, looking
Yeah.
at your finances or checking things out shouldn't be in a stressful situation. You want to be relaxed in a place that you enjoy, whether it be in your house or sometimes even out of the house. Maybe going to a Starbucks or something like that and grabbing a latte, and as you go over these things. But again, it should be a necessary process, but it shouldn't bring you. It's just if you're afraid to go into your app to look at your account or something like that, or the bills you got to pay or whatever, then yeah, like I said, and what we're recommending tonight, that those things are not going to be changed unless you do the hard work. Like I said earlier, if you are not eating well, if you're not exercising, if you're not going to the doctor, if you're not doing the meat and potatoes things, these what we're just giving you some add-ons to make that process easier when you're under discipline. But again, the important thing is that you have to get under some kind of discipline. And we're not here, like I said, to advise you on that. I mean, definitely we talked about the taxes, definitely again, do you due diligence? Talk to you if you have a tax account or whatever, talk to them about that and ask them, what are the advantages? If I'm married, should I continue to follow jointly or should we do separate? And again, it also may depend on what where you're at in life. Like married filing jointly might have been better when your kids were little, but now like I'm almost an empty nester now, so so that might be, so I can't claim really any of my daughters on my taxes anymore. They're not dependents, so I don't get as many write-offs. So again, filing separately may be a new season that we have to go into and look at this in a serious manner. So again, those things that you have to do, but just checking in and looking at your accounts. Always knowing where you are. You never want to get hit with a charge or a bill that is that you weren't expecting, or if you need to check some things. Because in fact, I'll just share this off the rip. We got hit with we got scammed recently. So somebody, now again, I don't know how they got my information because I don't have this on my apps. I don't have it in Google Pay or Apple Pay or anything like that. But somebody got a hold of an account that we had, and they went charging up someplace in Texas, and they were charging left, right. I had both of the card. Like I said, this is just an overdraft account that I had that I don't really use. It's just if the checking account goes under, so it just charging you. Just it's just for overdraft. But I never bought anything with it. So then I get my statement that comes in. I'm like, what is this? What are these charges? So we immediately reported it. But somebody somehow got access to that information and they went to town. And so, so again, we'll be made whole shortly. But again, a lot of times don't let a lot of time go by where weeks, if not months, are going by. You don't know where your finances are. And then when you look up and say, how'd I get this charge? How'd I get this bill? You might have gotten scammed. So again, always be mindful of where you are financially, what your statements are, what your bills are. And you just want to, and again, you don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Again, 15 minutes, just kind of going over those things in a chill environment, and just take it as a time to, just to always know where you are. So again, Coach, your thoughts on this one.
Just most of the time when I check, my balances, log in, it's usually when I first wake up, when I'm lying in the bed, right before I go to sleep. And I can pretty much calculate to the T how much should be in there. I really don't look at the pennies, the cents, but to the dollar, I'm usually always spot on because I've always been conscious of how much I spend. I add stuff up before I even go to the register sometime, and I calculate the taxes. And when I do taxes, I typically do 20%. Just, so if I get a few dollars more back, I'm okay with that. But yeah, I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Review it at least 5 days before your pay period. Each pay period, just go ahead and check and see what you got in the bank. Make sure ain't no fraudulent transactions been taking place, and change it. I also, if you're going to do it on your phone, I recommend changing your password every 6 months or so, but stay away from those easy to remember birth dates and things like that. And phones now, and I make a note and I lock the note in my phone. Like if I change a password, I'll put it in my phone note, and I'll just lock that note so you couldn't just get my phone and go through. You have to know my password.
And most of the apps now, they also have vaults, password vaults and whatnot, apps and whatnot that you can also use to employ to store that information as well. So yeah, definitely keeping your password secure is certainly another way you can certainly make sure that you alleviate some of those stresses. The next one here, again, build a buffer. Have an extra $100 to $500 just in case money can lower the anxiety more than you think. It's not about the amount. It's about knowing you have something to fall back on. So again, always putting something, having some money. And, I don't know how you feel about cash. I like to have cash. We basically, we got a little figurine or whatever. I just like putting some money in there. If someone pays me cash for anything, I don't even deposit in the bank half the time. I just put it right in the little figurine there, and I just like knowing that I got a couple $100 on me at all times. Now, but I don't carry a lot of cash with me. Like I rarely, my wallet, I rarely carry cash unless I'm traveling. Because sometimes you want to tip the hotel guy or whatever. Sometimes you'll do that, but other than that, it's rare when I have a lot of cash on me. But certainly having cash available when I need something quick, or I got to pay for it. Sometimes guy outside picking up leaves or whatever, and you just want to hit him up or whatever, and just have that. So yeah, so definitely having a buffer can help. And again, it's about the habits. I think the habit of putting a little extra money on the side, not so close that you can get to it necessarily, but you definitely want to make sure that said, yes, indeed, the identity theft, yeah, that's a big problem. And that's even more so. So again, we're talking about things, suggesting some things, but these might become more and more necessities that you need to be able to protect yourself and whatnot. So again, always staying on top of what your finances are, what your accounts are looking like, and make sure there's no strange charges or whatnot. I know sometimes the credit card companies, they'll call you up. I know mine sometimes does, and they'll say, hey, we've witnessed some of these charges that are kind of out of character for you. Hey, you just want to verify and that these are purchases that you made. I've gotten those kind of calls in the past. But this one, somehow it slipped by. But again, this person down in Texas, they were charging left and right. They were going to Dollar General and they were doing they were going to town. I was like, nah, I don't know anybody in Texas. So like I said, the cards were, like I said, they were on me. So
It's
yeah.
crazy.
So it's definitely it was a major thing that I had to just deal with just a couple days ago, actually. So you definitely want to, yeah, for sure. But how do you think about, again, building that buffer? How much you like to have some loose cash on hand or whatever? What's your strategy? You look like one of them guys who would do that from a young age, because I know you talked about you cutting hair and all that. So you got to play. You hide money, so you got money in places nobody knows about.
But you know what's funny though? Very similar to what you just said. I don't carry a lot of cash right now, and I got $21 in my wallet, and that's probably the max I would carry on a routine day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So $21. I've been having that for about 2 weeks now, and you're right. Since I was young, I've always wanted to keep some cash in hand. I think the most I had when my wife met me, I had about 6,000 or 7,000 cash. She was like, "How you get all that? And you doing all?" I said, "Yeah, I know how to manage my money." One of my, what is it called? One of my
compulsive
bad habits would be shopping. I like to shop, but I don't spend a lot of money.
Yeah, same. Yep.
When I'm not a name brand guy. I'm a quality guy. I like the quality, and if it looks right, it looks right. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've always been that way. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like now, man, we got 2 piggy banks in both of them field. You know what I'm saying? And I still keep. I probably got like $15 worth of change in my little armrest in the car. You know what I'm saying? So. And again, it's just being able to do that really quick. Just Tuesday, I went to Fort Knox, and I have an AAFES card, right?
What's an AAFES card?
AAFES card is like a credit card that you can spend on base.
Gotcha.
It's specifically designed to purchase things on base, but you can also use it for other things because Home Depot is an affiliate of AAFES. They have products. And the thing I like about going to base, there's no tax on whatever you purchase. So I have this card. I just activated it 2 weeks ago. So when I was going to pay for the little stuff I had, it kept declining. And the lady said, it's being declined because there's some fraudulent activity. I'm like, hold up. So I called the hotline, like, hold up, man, what's going on? And she was like, yeah, it looked like it was some fraudulent activity in Chicago. I said, hold up, I ain't been in Chicago. I said, ain't nobody had my card but me. Say, yeah, put a flag on it. She's like, because they had stopped it. They put a stop payment on it until I had to call them directly and say yay or nay. I'm like, no, it wasn't me, man. Yeah, I'm glad y'all. She's like, yeah, we do that. And I'm glad they had that safety measure there.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a few dollars. If you a single person, I can see it can be a little bit difficult. However, everything adds up. 50 cents, 20 cents, if you can find a space to, put it in a piggy bank, and if you have a little extra dollars, you don't have to just spend it because it's in your hand. Sometimes you can, think about it a few days and you might realize you don't need to spend it. Just hold on
Right.
to it. But yeah, I'm all with that, man. Hold on to it. Don't just blow it. Some people just be burning in their
Yeah,
hand like,
yeah, can't
I
keep.
gotta
They
go
go through.
spend
Yeah,
it.
if it's in their hand or possession, they spend it. But like I said, me, I just
Yeah.
I just prefer just to keep it keep it from me and so not touch it. But yeah, definitely
Hmm.
having a buffer. A nice cash buffer. And it's just
Yeah.
amazing how a lot of people just don't have a couple hundred. You talk about living paycheck to paycheck, but a lot of folks don't even have. If these days 4 flat tires is $800. So, so I
Yes.
mean, do you have that in
Yes.
order to take care of some of those things? So definitely things to be mindful of. Next step here. Okay, create a wins list. I like this when I first saw it. So again, track every money win. So whether you pay off a credit card, cancel a subscription, impulse resisted. So again, you went into K&G, but you walked out without buying anything. Me, it'd be Marshalls. So that's a win for me every time I go out.
Yeah.
$5 saved. Again, it doesn't matter the amount. It's can you get into the habit of saving? Progress rewires your brain to focus on what's working, not just what's wrong. So again, sometimes just like any habit, it starts with small steps. Can you put $5, $20, whatever it is per paycheck? Just make a decision that I'm going to do this no matter what. And I'm just going to put that money in this account or whatever. I'm just going to leave it there and I'm not going to worry about it. Again, when you pay off a credit card, again, if you're monitoring, you check it off, celebrate that, because again,
Hmm.
the things that really affect your credit, again, late payments will definitely hurt your credit negatively. But when you pay off cards and that debt to credit card ratio is low, that's something to be positive about. And like I talked about last week, strategy that I've used for years, I recommend for a lot of young people. Let's say if you have multiple debts, that are accruing interest, pay off. Well, you can either do two things: pay off the smallest card first, just to get it off. And then once you do that, the money that you apply towards that card or that bill, put it towards the next bill and take that out. So you just click them one at a time. But if you just spread money around, especially with these cards and places that have interest, you'll never get out of it. It's like I'm spending money paying bills every month, but I'm not getting anywhere. You got to be surgical when you talk about taking care of bills. So again, like one at a time, you eliminate one at a time from your smallest to your largest. The other strategy, if you're not going to go from smallest to largest, or if there's a decision made between two cards or two bills that are roughly of the same value, which one has the higher interest? Because again, anything that you're paying on, it's going interest is part of the payment as well. So again, you think you're putting $100 on something, but if the interest is 20%, you're not making that full payment. So if you got two bills, if you got a credit card at 21% and you got another bill at 8%, and they're basically the same amount, you pay the higher interest one first, because more of your money then will be going to, you're not paying as much in interest. Knock out the high interest bill next, if you have to decide between two bills of the same amount. And then you just kind of keep knocking them off. But every time you knock it off, that's a win. Now it's up to you if you want to keep that line open. Now again, when it comes to credit worthiness, one of the things that they measure is the number of cards that you have. You don't necessarily want to cancel a card when you pay it off, because credit age, anytime you cancel a card, it lowers your credit age. And credit card companies like to see a long credit history. So just because you pay it off, put the card away. So you don't necessarily have to use it unless you have to. Put the card away, but keep the account open. That increases your credit age and improves your credit history over time. But definitely, if you do pay that card off, create a wins list of money that's saved, bills that are paid off, or in, like it says here, impulses resisted. All right. So again, it's about a mindset, not thinking about what's wrong, but what are you doing right. And I like that idea. that people do that. You should celebrate those things. Coach, your thoughts on this one?
You know what I found out recently in the last few years? Paying off a credit card drops your credit score. And not using them. Now what they're doing now, and this happens to us often, if you don't use a credit card, they'll send you a letter saying they can already cancel the card. They want you to use it.
Although I don't see that with banks. Where I see that more with is like the retail stores, like the Best Buy, the electronics stores and whatnot. Those kind of, if you're not spending money there. But the banks, that they'll keep you open forever, at least in my experience anyway. I haven't
let me see. We had Discover, they want you to use it or they'll cancel it, something like that. I do remember that because my wife, she has a Discover. Me, I have one credit card. I don't carry a lot of credit cards, you know what I'm saying? And you're right. I wouldn't recommend just closing an account just because it's paid off. Even if you take it down to $5, at least get it down, raise your credit, lower your credit usage, which is important. I don't have a lot of subscriptions, none of that. I don't do Netflix and all of those things. I just have regular internet and cable and things like that. I believe in anything, a penny. I'll save a penny. I'll find a penny somewhere. I'll pick it up, put it in the piggy bank. It all adds up.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So it's just definitely, especially today, you know what I'm saying, with the cost of everything, I think it's important to at least set a plan, give yourself at least a year and a half to sort of, be a little diligent and consistent about just paying those lower bill first. Like Brother Bennett said, the higher interest rate, get those things paid down. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, man. We like to buy money sometime on our impulse, and then we get it and realize, you know what? I really didn't need that. And we may wear it once or twice. So if you can resist it, but if you have kids, that could be a little different, but I would recommend definitely sitting everyone down and going over all the finances that come into the home and everything that needs to be going out, especially today, so they can be a little bit more financially aware. So
now Mariana was asking how. So I'm a little because again, I follow my credit history pretty good. And again, the lower my debt to credit ratio, my credit always improves, always. So when you say that paying off a credit card lowers your credit, again, the only thing that I know for sure, like I said, if you cancel a card, so let's say if you paid a credit card off and you cancel it, that lowers your credit age, which will then lower your credit. So you could be using credit cards for 30 years. But if you cut all those credit cards, you close all those accounts, your credit age might be like 7 years. It's like, how could it be 7 years? Well, I've been using credit all these years. Because again, it's like they're open accounts. So you want to keep the accounts open if possible. And then also, now I also think there's nothing wrong with using the credit card if you're disciplined enough to pay it off. Like basically, as soon as you go, let's say if you get like one of those points cards, like, Costco, like we go to Costco a lot, get gas on, get the 4% back, whatever. And so that can be some serious money at the end of the month. So as soon as I make the transaction in Costco, I get the points, I immediately transfer the money over to pay for the gas I just got with the other card. So I guess I get my points because I use the Costco credit card, but then I pay it off immediately. So if you can get into that habit where you're spending, so again, it's helping your credit history because they're showing, okay, he or she's spending and paying off the money all the time. That is what you want. Yes, using especially for travel, with the travel that I've been doing. Yes, I mean I've gotten so many travel miles and hotel. I got 15 free nights in the Marriott chain. No, actually 21 nights. I got 21 free nights. Just because I'm charging that card up. But guess what? Once I get my reimbursement, I pay it off right away. So again, so you want to get into that habit. You don't want to accumulate debt, but as soon as you're able to pay those things off, keep those balances to zero, but keep using it and just use this that way. Using a credit card as cash, especially if you got one that's giving you like free air miles, free money on gas or whatnot. You get that nice check every year for the expenses. If you could run thousands of dollars a month through a credit card, but then make sure that it's paid off every month, then that's a nice position to be in. And for people who are business savvy, that's how they're able to get those extra perks. That's how they get those free flights. That's how they get all those benefits. So you want to be definitely able to get there. We're not saying credit is bad or using credit cards is bad. No, credit cards could be an excellent financial tool. But if you're dealing with debt and there's certain things you got to get yourself in a position to be able to use a credit card effectively. And so again, that's the difference. So hopefully we clear that up for Mariana. But yeah, pay it off, keep it open, and then you should be able to see some benefits or some increases in your credit history overall. Next one here, I think we got a couple left here. It says use general language around money. Now again, this is one of those Now I was a little mixed on this one because, like I said, I don't care how much self-talk you have about I'm getting in shape, I'm losing weight. I don't care how much you can have all the positive mental attitude and self-talk and all that stuff if you want. If you're not doing it, it's not really going to matter. So again, I'm all good with try saying I'm learning how to manage my money instead of I'm terrible with money. I get all those tricks. Oh yeah, I can't stop smoking. Or I will stop smoking. I can't stop spending at K&G or Marshalls, but I will stop, and start saying, I'm not spending any money there. You can say all those things. All right. Again, these are hacks, little tricks that can help that process be easier. But a person who's not under discipline, none of this stuff is going to matter. This isn't this think and grow rich, speak it and name it and claim it, speak it into existence type of stuff. All that kind of stuff has limited use if you're not going to put the work behind the words to make these things a reality. Right. So again, but you don't want to say but yeah, I agree not to use some of the stuff. I suck with money. I'm so stupid. I don't believe in that negative self-talk that you may have about a person. I never get it right. I'm broke all the time. And I don't. And again, to an degree, I think that you shouldn't beat yourself up with that kind of language. That my life is terrible and nothing's going right for me or whatever. I just think that and nobody wants to be around somebody like that. If you want to be a negative Nancy all the time, then nobody wants to be. That is an unattractive character trait that people run and flee from. You definitely want to be optimistic. You definitely want to, but again, that optimism should be based on something tangible that you're doing. Again, if you are getting those small wins, saving $5, avoiding spending, we don't need to, stepping away from saying no to food that's given to you. You shouldn't be eating those things. People give it to you. It's like, oh, but they offer, I got to eat it. Saying no to certain things. Those are wins. So again, when you're doing the actions, then the words can help to magnify what you're doing. But if you're not going to put the work in, none of this stuff matters. So again, when I saw this, I was like, it just kind of hit me right away. Because again, I've read Think and Grow Rich. I've read, all those PMA books and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, you got to do the work. But I'm not saying these things are bad in themselves, but I think people went way to the other side. I'm just going to speak it. I'm just going to claim it, or saying, I'm not going to speak debt. I'm not going to speak poverty or whatever, but you're still in poverty. What are you doing to address the issues that are in front of you? And looking and embracing the reality of your situation. You have to do that if you want to make any kind of positive change to your situation. So, Coach, I just went on a rant there, but I'm like, say, faith without works is dead. I'm sorry. So unless you put that in, nothing's going to happen. But your thoughts on this one?
No, man, that's spot on, man. Listen, man. On YouTube, again, everybody makes $100,000 a year. Everybody got all this money, but they still got to get up and go to work at
That is true.
7:30 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So, and to me, are they trying to make money just to spend? Because we spend a lot and we don't think about the future. And a lot of times I've heard people say, I'm terrible with money, but they want to go into business with me.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm a little frugal sometimes. I don't go without. I have everything that I need in abundance of it. And I'm not just going to say, oh, I got an extra $300. Let me just go out and party it up. No, I'm not that type of guy. I'm going to put 200 and look, I might put 260 up and take a little $40 and go out and, pinch off of that, for 2 days. But again, man, it's a mindset. We talked about it earlier, the growth mindset. You have to sort of speak positive about it, but also you have to put in the work. You can, like you said, you can read all the financial books you want, but if you're not breaking down your finances, looking to save a little bit here and there, and foregoing having a good time a couple of weeks out of the, you know what I'm saying, just so you can build that nest egg up, because it takes time and it takes discipline. I think a lot of people just lack the discipline because we always looking at what somebody else has and the name brand. So yeah, man, listen, you have to be a little bit more self-aware and, be disciplined. It takes discipline to really, over time, not just a couple of months. But again, it depends on what is your, I guess, your future outlook for your financial stability. What are you looking to increase your finances? Is it just to buy stuff or, have a major I think outside of a car and a home, everything else is just toys to me. You know what I'm saying? Getting those things. And sometimes, depending on where you live, because what I've seen now, the trend is a lot of younger, educated people coming out into the workforce. They would rather live in the inner cities and take public transportation. When their generation before, their parents wanted the house in the suburbs and would spend an hour and a half in traffic getting to work. So now people are starting to think about those things and invest early. So
absolutely. Coming up on the last one, it's going to be a relatively short show tonight. But I think short and to the point. I think that certainly adds value. Last point here: unfollow what stretches you out. Now, again, I'm not saying that you should walk in ignorance, especially when it comes to your finances. Again, you should know and understand basic money management. You should know what's going on with economic trends, because again, if you do have investments, you need to know kind of where things are going. Either that or you hire some money manager, someone who's going to run your portfolio, and you just say, hey, you just run it, I don't worry about it. No, you need to be involved. But do you have to know everything? Do you have to be so engaged in the process that, again, you read the Financial Times or Yahoo Finance or whatever, you don't have to read everything. Just the things that are sort of tied to your investments or what have you, or things that you pointed out of interest. Those are certainly things that you can you about to take some swings, coach? You about to get in the batting cage and take some hacks at the
No, man, I'm just stretching, man.
You just want to show your pop. You just trying to show your Popeye forearms. I get it. Those Popeye forearms. I get it. Not a problem. But again, you need to be informed. But again, these algorithms, the way these things work, they will feed your fear or your stress. And so, some things you need to unfollow. And like Coach was alluding to, there's a lot of things I there was a scripture that really hit me last year. It says, have no part in unfruitful conversations. And there was just a lot of things that I was in that was like, I don't need to be a part of these things anymore. And so I just got out. So anything that is just adding unnecessary burden, I'm going to be about, singly focused on my family, focused on my faith, focused on those things that matter to me. But I don't follow. So when people say, "Hey, did you hear about this, that, and third?" I had to not unfollow somebody. I had to silence some of their threads because everything that they were sending was like, the world is over. Or if you're gonna tell me there's like, there's no more good black women left. All the black women are gone. I got the last one. Me and Coach got the last black. I'm like, look, I just raised 3. I hope not. I just raised 3 of them. So I don't know what you're saying. I got 3 of them on the ready. If you that high value man, I got 3 of them waiting for you. Well, 2. I got one has got her man already. So I got 2 more. One's in medical school. So again, you better come quick. Submit your resume. So again, just a lot of that feeding that kind of the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, I just avoid all of that. I live in blessing. I was talking to my boss who came back. She was battling some things or whatever. She's like, "How you stay so positive?" It's like, look, we talked about hard work, right? And it just reminded me being in Georgia really reminded me of what hard work really is, because last month, I mean, you talk about it was hot, it's hot everywhere in July, right? Georgia heat, that's another level. But if you go 90 miles west of where I was, you'll find that's where my family is from. My mom and my dad, they're from that part of the state, and they used to work in that environment. So again, it would like you get out your car, you feel the sun baking on you, and then you go into the building that's air conditioned. My ancestors worked in the fields, in the factories back then. So when people talk about, it's things that's a lot of work, yes, even though I'm in IT or whatnot, yes, that doesn't mean that things can't be stressful. Yes, a lot of mental stuff you got to do, but I almost feel guilty calling it work. Because if you really want to know what hard work is, try living in a time that they had to endure. And so here I am. I'm one of their descendants. I'm in a place where I'm eating steak dinners every night in restaurants and doing all this kind of stuff. So it's like, what do I have to be complaining about? So again, that's just my vibe right now. It's like I just the work that we have to do, which is going to be a lot over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be local here, but we got to hunker down. We got to get some things done. And I'm like, let's get to work. If you want to call it that, let's go. And so she was like, how you be so positive? It's like, look, I'm half full all the time. I'm in a great position, and I still have the vitality to be passionate about what I do. So I'm saying, let's go. So again, I don't have time for conversations that are going to stress me out. I don't have time. If everybody's going to be negative about something, like, bounce. I'll see you guys later. Because I got more positive things to do. It's like, so again, you want to beat on women, you want to beat on America, you want to beat on whatever. It's like, look, I'm just going to operate and do what I need to be doing. And so again, if things, financial pressures, if things are falling, talking about everything's going to automation, whatever, again, what are you doing then in a positive to make sure that you're in a position to be better? Again, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and we can even add financially to this. What are you doing positively to do that? So do the work. And then those things that can be stressors, get them out of your life. You don't need those things. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And, certainly we can start to wind down the show. But Coach, I'll give it to you to have your final thoughts, certainly on this, and then your final short thoughts, and we can land the plane early tonight. Like I said, I said early on, I'm not. We're not in COVID anymore, so we don't need to be on air for 3 hours. Let's make the points and let's bounce and get out. We bold older dudes like us, we got other things we need to be doing, if you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, I definitely know what you're saying.
So go ahead, man. What you got?
No, this was a great slide right here, man. And me, I guess I've always been a person that stayed cool under pressure. I never let other people's stories and issues and problems affect me in a sense. I don't know where it came from. It might have came from my own home life, just being around my father. You know, yeah, I don't know, man. And now, YouTube is a funny place because YouTube is probably the only place that you would really, I guess, get stressed out. I mean, what I mean by it is that, when it comes to family, like my son, I in the growing process, it could get a little stressful. Like, man, I hope he's listening, man. Man, I thought we talked about this. Why are you doing this? You know what I'm saying? But that's something that I can just walk away from and still come back with love and say, hey, man, listen, I have to be that way sometime because I want you to understand the importance of it. I'm not going to curse you. I've never been a big cursor in youth in a sense at all. What you hear me say on YouTube, if you saw me with a bunch of kids that's playing and talking and I'm trying to coach, I had so many parents say, well, you're so easy on them. You need to be a little tougher. Yeah. No, man, I'm trying to teach them. And that what resonates the most, you know what I'm saying? But to me, I outside of YouTube, man, I ain't really got a lot of stress. You know what I'm saying? I will go to other channels to fight and sort of combat the rhetoric sometimes.
Yeah, but it's like you're not internalized. It's almost like a watching a reality show or something like that, where it's just like you don't take it seriously. Yeah. It's just almost like a guilty pleasure almost when you could be in these places and see people just want to act a fool in certain place or whatever. You get a laugh at it. That I get. But again, if something's going to be disturbing your peace and whatnot, you just don't need to be necessarily in those rooms. At least for my,
I stay away from people like that, especially in real life. I don't. I've always been a positive person. I always want to see everybody win, see everybody eat. So I'm not a Debbie Downer. And everything is woe is me, and it ain't gonna never get better. See, I don't know though. I've met people like that, but I don't connect to people like that. Sometimes I butted in some conversation. Like, hold up, it ain't like it can be better than that. It's just the state where you are today. And I don't know, man. Again, man, I've been thinking about the same thing that you thought about a few months ago. Just like, man, listen, man, I'm dealing with adults here. I'm not dealing with kids. And everybody holler about, well, people they be stuck in, all y'all stuck in y'all ways out there, man. Everybody stuck in their ways. A lot of people I believe a lot of people don't want to see things get better. When I hear people say, it ain't gonna never get. See, I couldn't really be hanging around somebody like that. I couldn't be trying to, go back and forth with information and, just our opinions. Opinion is an opinion, So I don't know, man. I'm there. I'll man it out over the next few months now that, the season's changing. Football's back on.
Yes, sir. My team won tonight.
We got a lot to talk about next Wednesday.
Who you follow? You follow University of Louisville? Who you follow?
I follow Louisville, man. I follow Kentucky. I follow I follow everybody, man. I ain't gonna lie. As far as now, being that it's a home team, I may like my wife. She like, you want me to get you a cup of tea? Because Louisville and Kentucky is a big game. Those are big games. So she's already.
Is that a big rivalry though? Is that like?
Yeah, that's
like Michigan. What's that? Ohio State. Is that level of?
Michigan State.
Okay, like so it's that kind of it's that level of life.
Yeah, they already big on that, and so I mean I'm in a good space, man. I've even had, and I'll say this and I'll shut up. Even some of my friends in real life, I sort of just had to take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Just to like reevaluate, friendships and things like that. So but I don't lose any sleep over it. People are people. You know what I'm saying? Life still goes on. We still got to worry about our finances when we get off
That is
here
true.
on the first of the
That is
month.
true.
So I just look at it
Yeah.
like that, man. I want to live my best life without any stressors. And, you know, man, salute, man. Salute to you. You know what I'm saying? I guess in your 50s, man, it's like, no, we don't need all that extra. We got health issues to worry about.
I'm trying
to
stay ahead of it. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I had my first real leg day in over a month. Went back into the squat rack and I put some, first time I went in, I just kind of played with it a little bit. I just put a little, I don't think I had 95 pounds on my back. And I just did just a few, just kind of loosen up. But this time I put the knee wraps on. I loaded up some. It's like, okay. And even then I left a little bit in the tank. You know what I mean? I didn't want to push. It's like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm feeling this now. So I got up to about 195, 200, just to kind of warm it up a little bit. It's like, okay, yeah, we can do some of this. And so I'm just kind of working my way back to, like I said, my regular routine, giving myself the rest days, because at this age, the rest is really the rest and the recovery, the sleep, the nutrition.
Yes.
Make sure I take my supplements. Now I just started taking creatine recently, and just adding that to the stack and just kind of seeing how that affects. Because I really, up to now, I really never took creatine before, trying it out and just kind of seeing how it how it works with me. And so I got my red apple cider vinegar routine going in the mornings now. So I got, so I'm just, just getting my groove. When you're on the road, you don't have you just realize, it's good to do it every once in a while. But when you're living out of a suitcase every week, you really got to do that extra to, try to maintain those health habits and whatnot. And to stay ahead of things. But it's good to be home where I can kind of do a reset. If and when I go back out again, then I'll be going out with a full tank. But my tank was definitely getting a little empty. And when like I said, that first leg workout, man, I mean, when I was serious, I was like, man, I had nothing. But this week I felt a whole lot better. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I think we're gonna land this plane. Okay, so again, we're going to keep it short and sweet tonight. But again, Mariana Constantine, appreciate your comments tonight. So true. Never talk negatively about every shape and form, especially yourself. Absolutely. But again, as I'll tell anybody, the talking's good. But again, it's got to be reinforced with some work. If you want your words to matter, put the action behind it as well. And have those habits that lead to those positive results. So it becomes a positive feeding loop when you put your words and your actions together, and it's just constantly, so you're living a consistent life, an honest, virtuous life. You want to be able to do that. So again, financially, as I said earlier, started the show, we're not financial planners. We're not financial experts. Get with somebody who could really help you get a hold of your finances. If that's an issue for you, if you're worrying about retirement and whatnot, start, get with somebody now to see what can I do with the time I have left to make sure I prepare for that. And but again, we're just just giving us from our own experience, as you heard about tonight, things that we've done, things that we're doing that has made this part of our lives. And I don't know about you, Coach, but I could truly say I am kind of living I kind of used to hate the term a little bit, but I am kind of living my best life right now. I got to be honest. And when I just look around, I just see blessings all around. And so we want that for everybody. If you're a young person who's trying to get into that, definitely go back over the shows that we've done in the past and take what you can use and apply it to your life. And so for us, I think we're enjoying this part. A lot of people worry about things. We're not worried. We're just living in our blessed self. So make sure as you leave the show tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you leave the show. And obviously we're ending a good time. So, look forward to the replays and the shorts that will come from this show, as we continue to build within this platform. Thank you once again, Sparta HQ Network, certainly for your support. And, let's grow this channel together. And let's continue to put out positive content that builds, lifts, and edifies, and not tears down. So for myself, Mr. Bennett, he is the coach. Show them forearms again, sir. Show them biceps. That's 55. That's 56-year-old muscle right there. I'll be 56 in October. So that's real. That's some real stuff right there. I'm gonna have to. I'll do a pose down. If we ever meet, we're gonna do a pose down together. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take some steps to do a pose.
Man, I don't want you. Man, I ain't gonna have you outshine me. You coming up there all rocked up, man. I'm
we're gonna do a pose
down.
We're gonna be like Arnold and Franco back in the day. We like those Pumping Iron movies. We're gonna show them how to get it done. You know what I mean? But appreciate you guys for being with us tonight. And so until next time, you guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next week. Good night.